Let's jump into the first Rocky movie from 1976. This film is iconic, not just for its story, but for how it impacted cinema and became a symbol of perseverance and the American dream. I'll break down the plot, characters, the performances, Sylvester Stallone's career, sequels, and the lasting legacy of the film. Let's go. Plot. Rocky centers around Rocky Balboa, played by Sylvester Stallone, a small-time boxer from Philadelphia. He works as a loan shark's enforcer, breaking people's legs for a living, and spends his free time training at a rundown gym. Despite his potential as a boxer, Rocky hasn't made it big, and his life is a series of dead-end jobs and failed dreams. The film takes a turn when heavyweight champion Apollo Creed, played by Carl Weathers, is looking for a worthy opponent for his next fight. Due to a twist of fate and the timing of his fight being close to the nation's bicentennial, Apollo chooses Rocky as his challenger, dubbing it the Italian Stallion story to promote the event. Rocky gets a once-in-a-lifetime shot to prove himself, not necessarily to win, but to go the distance with the champion. What follows is a gritty underdog story where Rocky trains tirelessly for the fight of his life. Along the way, he forms a relationship with Adrian, played by Talia Shire, a shy woman who works at a pet store, and finds new purpose in his life. The climactic fight is a brutal, exhausting battle, and while Rocky doesn't win in the traditional sense, he goes the full 15 rounds with Apollo, earning his respect. The film ends on a note of triumph for Rocky, even though he doesn't technically win the title. His victory is internal, a victory over his own doubts and struggles. Characters and performances. The characters in Rocky are pivotal to its success. At its core, the movie is about the people who surround Rocky and his relationships with them, not just the boxing. Sylvester Stallone as Rocky Balboa is iconic. Stallone not only played the role, but also wrote the screenplay, a feat that gives the film an incredible sense of authenticity. His portrayal of Rocky is humble, grounded, and incredibly relatable. Rocky is a flawed, imperfect man, yet his determination and heart resonate with anyone who's ever faced adversity. This was a breakthrough role for Stallone and cemented his status as a major Hollywood star. His performance is both gritty and emotional, and it's impossible to imagine anyone else in the role. Talia Shire as Adrian is also a standout. Her portrayal of the shy, introverted pet store clerk who gradually opens up to Rocky is both tender and powerful. She's not just a love interest, she's an essential part of Rocky's transformation. The chemistry between Stallone and Shire is palpable, and Adrian's evolution throughout the film mirrors Rocky's own journey of growth. Burgess Meredith plays Mickey, Rocky's trainer. Mickey is a cantankerous old-school boxing coach who sees potential in Rocky and eventually takes him under his wing. Meredith brings a lot of heart and humor to the role, balancing Mickey's tough exterior with a sense of paternal concern for Rocky. Mickey's tough love is a key component in Rocky's training montage. Carl Weathers, as Apollo Creed, is a perfect foil for Rocky. Apollo is a brash, self-confident champion who initially views the fight with Rocky as little more than a publicity stunt. However, through their fight, Apollo's respect for Rocky grows, and so does the audience's respect for him. Weathers' performance strikes a balance between arrogance and vulnerability, making Apollo a memorable antagonist. Joe Spinell plays Gazzo, the loan shark who employs Rocky. While not a major character, his role is integral to the story, highlighting Rocky's rough beginnings and his position in the underworld before his big break. Gazzo's relationship with Rocky provides a sense of contrast, showing Rocky's desire for a better life beyond the street-level work. Sylvester Stallone's career. Rocky is arguably the film that made Sylvester Stallone a household name. Before Rocky, Stallone was struggling to make it as an actor. He was living in a basement apartment, struggling to pay bills, and even had to sell his dog just to survive. Stallone's perseverance and belief in himself paid off when he wrote the Rocky screenplay. What's incredible is that Stallone insisted on playing the lead role himself, even though the studio was initially hesitant. They wanted a bigger name, but Stallone fought for his vision. His decision turned out to be the right one. Rocky became a massive success, winning 3 Oscars, including Best Picture, and making Stallone an international star. Stallone's career post-Rocky was shaped by the success of the character. He went on to star in Rambo and many other action movies, becoming synonymous with tough guy roles. But what's often overlooked is Stallone's versatility as a writer and director. After the success of Rocky, he continued to expand his talents, including directing and writing sequels, and later revisiting the character in the Creed series. His longevity in Hollywood speaks to his adaptability and work ethic. Sequels. Rocky spawned a total of 7 sequels, with the first being released in 1979 and the most recent Creed 3 in 2023. Each sequel has its own distinct tone and approach, but all are tied to Rocky's journey. Rocky II, 1979. The sequel sees Rocky getting a rematch with Apollo Creed and ultimately winning the title. The film's success helped cement Rocky as a franchise. Rocky III. This is the installment with Mr. T as Clubber Lang, a new challenger who pushes Rocky to his limits. This movie solidified Rocky's place in pop culture with the famous training montage set to Eye of the Tiger. Rocky IV, 1985. Featuring the Cold War rivalry between Rocky and the Soviet boxer Ivan Drago, this is one of the franchise's most iconic films. The movie's themes of perseverance and patriotism resonate deeply with audiences. Rocky V, 1990. This entry focuses on Rocky mentoring a young boxer, Tommy Gunn, and seeing his life take a downturn. It's often regarded as the weakest film in the series. Rocky Balboa, 2006. Stallone returned to the character, with Rocky facing off against a young champion in one last fight, this time motivated by personal redemption. Creed, 2015, and Creed II, 2018. The Creed films are a continuation of the Rocky saga, following Apollo Creed's son, Adonis, as Rocky mentors him. The films explore fatherhood, legacy, and the passing of the torch, and are widely praised for their depth and relevance. Legacy. Rocky isn't just a movie. It's a cultural touchstone. The film's message of perseverance and the underdog overcoming the odds resonates with audiences around the world. The iconic training montage and the Gonna Fly Now theme song have become synonymous with determination and hard work. The character of Rocky has become one of the most recognizable figures in cinematic history, and Stallone's portrayal is iconic. The Rocky films have influenced countless movies, television shows, and athletes. The phrase, "It's not about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward," has become a symbol of resilience and strength. Conclusion. Rocky is a timeless classic. It's not just about boxing. It's about fighting for your dreams, even when the odds are stacked against you. Sylvester Stallone's performance and vision for the character of Rocky Balboa turned a simple underdog story into something that resonates with audiences even today. The sequels, while varying in quality, have continued to build on Rocky's legacy, and the Creed series proves that the spirit of Rocky still has a place in the hearts of viewers. If you haven't seen Rocky in a while, or if you've never watched it at all, it's a must-see, not just for the action, but for the heart and soul of a character who became an emblem of resilience. Rocky II, 1979. Rocky II continues the story of Rocky Balboa, Sylvester Stallone, following the life-changing events of the first Rocky film. In the aftermath of his intense fight with Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers in the original, Rocky is now a local hero, but still dealing with the physical and emotional consequences of the fight. The film opens with Rocky trying to adjust to life outside of boxing, but it's clear that his injuries and lack of education make finding a new career difficult. To make ends meet, he accepts a job working in a meatpacking plant, something he doesn't exactly enjoy but feels forced to do out of necessity. This struggle echoes the theme of pursuing one's dreams and dealing with the harsh realities of life. Something that Stallone's character, much like Mickey Rourke's in The Wrestler, faces in his own way. Both characters must confront the idea of giving up their dreams and taking jobs they didn't want, highlighting the personal sacrifice and uncertainty that comes with trying to hold on to a career in a brutal and unforgiving industry. One of the core themes of Rocky II is the idea of redemption and the relentless pursuit of one's dreams. Despite being told by doctors that he might never fight again and being discouraged by his wife Adrian, Talia Shire, Rocky decides to step back into the ring and take on Apollo Creed once more. There's a deeply emotional element to this choice, not just for Rocky, but for his family as well. Adrian's support is a huge part of Rocky's journey, and her character takes on a much stronger role in this film. Her transition from being a protective, somewhat distant wife to becoming Rocky's rock and true supporter is powerful to witness. In terms of the broader Rocky franchise, Rocky II holds a unique place. It doesn't have the same underdog element as the first film, but still manages to convey a strong emotional narrative about resilience. The film focuses on Rocky's internal battles, overcoming self-doubt, fear, and the pressure of being a public figure after the first fight. It's a story of proving not just to others, but to himself, that he can achieve greatness. This is the movie where we see Rocky push himself beyond his limits, training harder than ever before, and ultimately fighting Apollo in an epic rematch that becomes a defining moment of his career. One thing that stands out about Rocky II is the way it builds upon the success of the first film while deepening the emotional stakes. The film's pacing and structure feel like a natural extension of the first film, but with a greater focus on character development and family life. The fights are intense, but they also have a lot of emotional weight behind them. Rocky isn't just fighting to win. He's fighting for his future, his family, and to prove that he's not just a flash-in-the-pan champion. The final fight is just as thrilling as the first, but this time it's about redemption more than just survival. As for the comparison to The Wrestler, the connection is clear when you consider how both films center on an athlete's comeback story. Both Rocky and Randy the Ram Robinson, played by Mickey Rourke, are down on their luck and facing the harsh realities of aging in their respective sports. The pressure to prove themselves again in a world that has moved on is palpable in both films, and both characters find themselves taking on jobs they never imagined, struggling to make ends meet, all while yearning for the glory of their prime. These personal struggles add a layer of authenticity and humanity to both films. When Rocky II was released, it was received positively, though it didn't quite have the same cultural impact as the original. Nonetheless, it was a financial success and set the stage for more Rocky films to come. In terms of storytelling, it's the second chapter in what would become a legendary series. It's a great sequel, offering both a continuation of the story and deeper character development, but it also laid the groundwork for future sequels that would dive even deeper into the theme of overcoming personal and professional struggles. In terms of Rocky's place in the world of cinema, Rocky II represents the growth of the character and the franchise. The film marks the point where Rocky is no longer just an underdog, but an established figure, one with both the responsibility and the burden of fame. It's a wonderful exploration of what happens after the glory and how someone might rebuild themselves when everything seems lost. Eye of the Tiger, baby. That line alone sums up the iconic electric pulse of Rocky III, the 1982 sequel that marked a significant shift in tone and style for the franchise, moving from the gritty, underdog realism of the first two films into something more stylized, flashy, and symbolic of 1980s culture and cinema. Plot summary. Rocky III picks up with Rocky Balboa now reigning as the heavyweight champion of the world. Life is good. He's rich, he's beloved, and he's comfortable, maybe too comfortable. This new version of Rocky is a far cry from the raw, scrappy fighter from the Philadelphia streets. He's doing endorsements, television appearances, and charity matches, including one with Hulk Hogan's Thunder Lips in a fun, over-the-top sequence that perfectly shows how far he's come. But Rocky's success is his downfall. Enter Clubber Lang, played by the intimidating and unforgettable Mr. T. Clubber is hungry, dangerous, and everything Rocky once was, driven by pain, anger, and a need to prove himself. After a brutal challenge, Rocky's mentor Mickey, played again by the late great Burgess Meredith, warns him that he's not ready, and tragically dies after the match that sees Rocky humiliated and defeated in front of the world. Devastated and lost, Rocky is picked up by none other than Apollo Creed, his former rival turned friend, played by Carl Weathers. Apollo trains Rocky in a new style, faster, more agile, and more tactical, drawing on Creed's roots and methods. What we get is a classic training montage set to Survivor's Eye of the Tiger, now forever embedded in cinematic history. The movie builds to a climactic rematch with Clubber Lang, where Rocky reclaims not only his title, but his identity and fighting spirit. Characters and performances. Sylvester Stallone continues to deepen his portrayal of Rocky. By this point, he is Rocky, not just in acting, but as a writer and director too. In Rocky III, Stallone is more polished, physically transformed, and emotionally layered. You really feel the evolution. Mr. T's Clubber Lang is a memorable raw force. He's less developed as a character than Apollo was, but he's incredibly impactful, aggressive, quotable, I pity the fool, and intimidating. Carl Weathers shines as Apollo Creed. His arc from enemy to mentor is one of the richest in the series. His bond with Rocky feels earned and heartfelt. Talia Shire, as Adrian, continues to be Rocky's emotional anchor. Her scenes may be fewer, but they're still powerful, especially when she confronts Rocky on the beach about his fear of failure. Burgess Meredith as Mickey provides the emotional gut punch. His final scenes are hard-hitting, and his death is a true turning point in Rocky's life. Themes. Complacency versus hunger. Rocky's wealth and fame lead to a softening of the grit that got him the title, while Clubber Lang embodies pure, relentless hunger. Fear and vulnerability. Rocky confronts his mortality and the fear of not being good enough. There's a psychological edge here not often seen in sports movies. Legacy and mentorship. Apollo's role in reshaping Rocky and passing down his style and discipline adds rich emotional and symbolic weight. Grief and resilience. Mickey's death is devastating, but it's also a narrative necessity. Rocky has to rise on his own, and that's where his character really matures. Franchise context. Rocky III is where the franchise leans into pop culture spectacle. The first film was about the soul of the fighter. The third is about the fighter's legacy. It's a bridge between the introspective early films and the over-the-top drama of Rocky IV. This movie solidified Rocky as more than a boxing series. It became a cultural touchstone. With the birth of iconic music, blockbuster-style fight scenes, and the introduction of flashy characters, it changed how we think about sports films. Stallone's career at this point. By 1982, Stallone was a megastar. Rocky III and First Blood, the debut of Rambo, were both released that year, effectively locking him in as one of the definitive action stars of the decade. But unlike some of his contemporaries, Stallone infused his work with vulnerability and heart, traits that kept Rocky from ever becoming just a muscle-bound caricature. Karate Kid, 1984, features a similar mentor-mentee arc and underdog comeback. Creed, 2015, the continuation of the Rocky legacy, but with the roles reversed. Now Rocky is the mentor. Raging Bull, 1980, a darker, more psychological take on boxing and fame. The Fighter, also grounded in character-driven boxing storytelling. Final thoughts. May not be the most critically acclaimed in the series. Rocky I and Creed often get that credit, but it's arguably the most watchable. It's fast-paced, emotionally engaging, and full of unforgettable moments. It's about losing everything and clawing your way back with heart and help, themes that resonate as deeply now as they did in the early 80s. Plus, come on, that final freeze frame of Rocky and Apollo throwing down for one last friendly sparring match? Absolute perfection.